brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's the Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. Jade Warshaw, best-selling author, Ramsey personality, is my co-host today. Open phones as we talk about you right in front of you. The phone number is 888-825-5225. The call is free, and some say the advice is worth exactly what you pay for it. Tyler's with us in Topeka, Kansas. Hey, Tyler, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Jade. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
My wife and I, along with our two boys, are ready to purchase a home financially. Emotionally, we're both at different places and having a hard time coming to an agreement on what to spend and even whether now is the right time.
Okay. What's the problem? What do you want to do versus what she wants to do?
We both want to move into a home, but my wife really enjoys the security of having a large amount of money in the bank.
Okay. So what's it going to cost you? What are you looking to spend? How much do you have saved? Tell me more.
We've got up to $80,000 for a down payment.
Okay.
Buying probably no more than a $300,000 home.
Okay. And is that $80,000 just the down payment, or do you have more money that you have set aside for your 3 to 6 months?
Yes.
What's yes mean? Which is you have an emergency fund in addition to the $80K?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. And what's your household income?
140 to 160, depending on commissions and bonuses.
Okay, there's no reason to not buy. I don't understand. No hesitation whatsoever. This is the time to do it. Yesterday, y'all go find your house. Every guideline you gave me fits and makes good common sense. It fits everything we're talking about. The only trade-off is she wants to keep $80,000 in the bank and watch it go down in value while the house goes up in value.
Okay.
So you're trading a $300,000 house for what is now a $250,000 house, because in 20 minutes, that $250,000 is going to be $300,000. Mm-hmm. While you sit around and watch your cash.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not the time to wait. Because you understand what I'm saying? The 80 is still going to be 80 a year from now. The 300 is going to be 350 a year from now.
Okay, I got you.
And then it's going to be 400. And your 80 is still going to be 80.
You probably need to sit down and explain that with the right attitude.
Not my tone of voice, but Jade or Rachel's tone of voice.
I don't know about mine. Maybe Rachel's.
Yeah, Rachel's always the friendly one. She's the nice personality. But it takes great joy in that. But anyway, I think I would start with, and some of that. I understand how you feel, but 10 years from today, waiting is not going to be our best plan. Would you agree? And say something along those lines and say, 10 years from today, the house that we can buy for $300,000, we won't be able to buy anymore. Mm-hmm. And the 80 will not have gone up. And so the longer we wait, the less house we're going to be able to buy.
How old are you guys?
28.
Listen, I remember when me and my husband bought our first house, everything was in line, and I still felt just a little bit trigger shy. It's a big purchase. It's the biggest purchase you're ever going to make. And so there is, that apprehension there, but let her listen to this call, and the experts are telling you that you're ready. So
yeah, you're in good shape. Hey, listen, dude, if you were a broke guy trying to buy a house and your wife was trying to talk you out of it, I'd call you stupid and tell you not to do it right here on the air. You know that. You've heard me do it.
Yeah.
I mean, because I love you and I want you to win, right? And so I would love to do it. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But not much. But seriously, you guys are in really good shape. You've done a good job. Waiting is going to cost you, and the only reason you're waiting now is fear, and in this case, it's false evidence appearing real. Mm-hmm. It's just you're doing something big you've never done before, and it, like Jade said, that is scary. It's valid to be scared, but it's not valid to let the fear rule you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Well, I appreciate everything you guys have done. You've really helped us out a lot.
Hey, Tyler, how old are you two?
28.
All right, cool. You fit everything, man. Everything you're lining up. I mean, you didn't call me up and you're 19 years old.
Right.
And you have no money, and your broke friend at the happy hour drinking 3 beers with you told you to buy a house. You're not that guy. I mean, you actually have a clue.
Well, then there's like the perception, right? Your perception really denotes what your behavior is going to be. And I think right now so many perceive that it's impossible to buy a house in this market. You'll never be able to do it.
Yeah.
And they are actually doing it.
Yeah, everybody's telling them that all their friends are going, no one can do it. It's all gone. All the opportunity's gone. Everyone under 30 is going to die homeless. This is the crap that's on the internet. And it's just crap, because we meet 26-year-olds with a paid-for house doing their debt-free screen.
That's true.
So, I mean, we meet people all the time that are doing it and making it work, but they're just not overbuying.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're not buying crap they can't afford.
That's right.
Paul's in Chattanooga. Hey, Paul, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Thank you, Dave. I have a great situation to be in. First off, I thank you for taking my call, and I appreciate all the information and education that y'all give to everybody on finances. But my question is, we're looking to open a Roth account. I have that available through my employer retirement. I have a 401k with a Roth option. Mm-hmm. My question is, after we've looked at all of our finances, after we've become debt-free, house and all, trying to allocate money, I think we've got enough to fully fund one Roth, but to accomplish all of our other goals, I don't think we can fully fund two. So the question is, over time, would it grow more if we fully funded one Roth account with $7,000 a year?
Not a dime.
Or
not a dime.
Two Roth accounts.
$7,000 is $7,000. If it's in 7 accounts or 1 account, it's still $7,000. And if it's growing if all 7 accounts are growing at the same rate, the 7 $1,000 accounts will grow to the exact same total as the single $7,000 account mathematically.
So you would recommend me and my wife both open one?
Doesn't matter.
Instead of doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you both want one and partially fund it, that's fine.
I do want to ask you, though, because you started out by saying you had the Roth 401k. Are you saying that you're fully funding that, which is around $22,500, and then you're moving over to a Roth IRA? I just want to make sure that you're clear on what you've got and what you're funding.
No, we're trying to establish the 15% total.
Okay.
I thought you said the house was paid for.
Yes, the house is.
Well, the 15% total doesn't matter anymore. You max out everything if you can. Keep the government's hands off of it. So I would, if you can hit your other goals with the house paid for, I'd max out the work Roth, max out 2 individual Roths, keep the government's hands off the money. When you're in baby step 7, the 15% doesn't apply because you're debt free. Now we're stacking cash. But if you've got some other goals and you want to keep retirement down at 15% temporarily, that's okay too. This is the Ramsey Show. Statistics show that half of Americans don't have enough life insurance, or they don't have any at all. I don't understand this, John. Why don't people want to take care of their family? They think they're going to die or something?
Well, I used to be one of those guys, I didn't even think about it. And one of my buddies said, hey, the only reason to not have life insurance is if you hate your wife and kids. And I immediately went and got term life insurance.
That's a gut punch.
And, you're telling me, and for decades, Dave, I've sat across people who've lost a spouse. They've lost somebody important to them.
Me
and
too.
They don't know what to do next.
Me
right?
too. I mean, you're going to have a crisis here. And, you got two options while you're sitting and talking to a young widow. She's concerned about how she's going to invest all this money properly and not mess this up, or she's concerned how she's going to eat tomorrow.
That's exactly
These are the
right.
two options.
And
take care of your dadgum family, man.
Term life insurance can replace income, pay off debts, cover funeral expenses, so your family can actually have the opportunity to just be sad.
Yeah.
To just miss you.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's saying I love you to your family. Term life insurance. Jeff Zander and the team at Zander Insurance makes it easy and affordable. I've used them personally for 25 years. They're the only people I trust. Go to Zander.com or call 800-356-4282. So some of y'all may not know Jade and Sam's story. They were in the cruise line business for years and somewhat still are, booking talent onto the cruise ships, right? With
Most definitely.
Sam's business, and they were actually talent themselves at one point on some of the cruise ships. So you've got to have mixed emotions about going on a Ramsey cruise. You're like the most experienced cruiser. I mean, I've been on a bunch of cruises, but nowhere near as many as you have.
I mean, I'm excited. It's the best vacation you can take.
Wow. Okay. Well, and you'll be working, but not working.
I'll be working.
You won't be working the same way.
That's right. I'll be on the stage, but in a different capacity. Let's put it like that.
And it's a completely different situation.
That's right.
Than being the entertainment, because we're entertaining, but we're not the So the Ramsey Cruise is coming up in March. It is not yet sold out, but it's approaching a sellout. If you want to come, it's the Live Like No One Else cruise. You need to be on Baby Step 4 or beyond. We'll check your little Baby Steps card and make sure you are, because we don't want you going on vacation with us and not getting out of debt. That'd be a wee bit hypocritical when we tell you not to go on vacation while you're doing this. So anyway, up to Baby Step 4 and beyond. Live Like No One Else cruise. Turks and Caicos, St. Thomas, Puerto Rico, the Bahamas. Dave and Sharon Ramsey, all the Ramsey personalities, plus Stephen Curtis Chapman, plus Manit Chauhan from the Food Channel, plus Dina Carter, fabulous country music star. Remember Strawberry Wine? Yeah, oh man. What a great song. Yeah,
17.
Anyway, and just a lot of other folks on the cruise with us that are unbelievable talent, and you're going to have an absolute blast. We're going to be with you the entire week. It's a 7-day, very high-end cruise. It's not at one of the cheapies. This is not Walmart on the Seas. This is Holland America, the good stuff.
I vouch for that.
And yeah, I've been on Holland America a couple times, and this is one of their newer ships. Yeah. It's excellent.
I've also been on the cheap stuff, and this is not that.
Yeah, there's a difference. I'm just saying, you do get what you pay for on the high seas. So there you go.
Well, speaking about paying, Dave, a lot of people are like, do I have to have the, however much it is up front? But the good news is you can book it with just the deposit.
$600 deposit.
Yeah.
March 22nd through the 29th, 2025. And we had one sold out. It was supposed to sail in March of 2020, when the only thing on the high seas was a virus, and so we weren't able to go. They shut the whole thing down. I mean, they shut the ocean down. They pulled the plug on it. It was actually dry sand. And
go ahead and say it, Dave. I know you want to say Fauci pandemic.
The Fauci pandemic caused all of it, but that's. But the anyway. So now we're gonna 5 years later, we'll be on the high seas for real, and. Gonna be amazing. RamseySolutions.com/cruise. We'd love to have you join us. There's just a few cabins left, so you need to get your reservations done now, people. Lindsay's in Wichita, Kansas. Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Better than we deserve. What's up?
All right. So my question is, at what point do you prioritize paying off the highest interest versus the lowest balance snowball method?
You mean Snowball versus Avalanche?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Never. You always do the debt Snowball. The Avalanche is mathematically incorrect. You want me to tell you why?
Okay.
Because it sounds like it's mathematically correct. You understand? Paying off the highest interest rate first sounds like it's mathematically correct. Should get you out of debt faster, right? Hello? Hello?
Sorry, I'm still there.
Okay. Is that right? Is that why you're considering it?
Kind of. Yeah, I'm looking at these interest rates, and the highest interest rate is about 7 times our lowest interest rate.
Yeah. And how much debt do you have?
We're right about $23,000.
Mm-hmm. And your household income is what?
Right under $100,000.
So the interest rate does not matter. You're going to be out of debt in 1 year.
Okay.
So the actual
That's the
dollars
plan.
paid in interest will be irrelevant.
Okay.
So, 10% on $23,000 is $2,000 in a year. That's the most swing you could have in this whole thing. And you're not even going to have that much swing. Your whole swing in between if you ran out the numbers on two probabilities, you would find that the actual math is probably around $1,200 that we're having this conversation over. You don't have a $1,200 problem. You have a $23,000 problem and a lifestyle problem and a process problem, and you're spending money you don't have to impress people you don't like, and you've decided to stop because you're smart. Way to go.
Thank you.
That's your problem. The problem is your mirror. The person in your mirror is your problem. It's not an interest rate problem. That's thing number one. Okay, let me walk you through this for a second, because this is something I just, in the last 2 years, got my head around. I knew the debt snowball method was working better than the Avalanche method because we help literally millions of people get out of debt using it, and the Avalanche method does not have the same success level. Avalanche method, for those of you that don't know, is you list your debts highest interest rate to smallest interest rate, thereby paying off the highest interest rate debt first, regardless of its size. And the debt snowball method is you pay off the smallest debt to largest debt, so you have some immediate success because you knock out the little one really fast. You get a little more excited. You knock out the next one a little faster, a little faster, a little faster, a little faster. And every time you knock off another one, your hope increases. Here's what we have actually discovered, Lindsay. The math is incomplete when you only consider what we've talked about so far. If you're actually doing a real business case on this, you would also enter into the math equation the probability of actually completing the plan, finishing, and becoming debt-free. If you put probability to it, the number of people that complete the debt snowball plan is vastly higher because they get excited and hopeful because they're knocking out the little ones, is vastly higher than the probability of people who complete the supposedly intellectual version, highest interest rate to lower interest rate. But the probability is lower of completion. So when you enter in the math of probability of completion, if you're doing like a probability and statistics equation, you would never use the Avalanche plan because almost no one actually finishes it because they lose hope. They get stuck in a large debt, the high interest rate, and they're just pedaling and getting nowhere, and they lose hope, and 30 days in they quit instead of getting fired up and wired up and plowing on through. And that's the difference. So you always use this. And by the way, Northwestern University actually did a research study on it and found that the debt snowball outperforms, on average, because of probability of completion, the Avalanche method. And they actually then ended up printing an article in Time magazine that said, Dave Ramsey's right after all.
Look at that.
Who knew?
Well, it makes sense. You're shortening that feedback loop. So you're getting a good result. And every time you get that good result, you get that hit of dopamine that's like, feel good. Yes, I did something. So yeah, you want to keep going.
You need some wins.
Yeah, you do.
Everybody needs some wins. If you're a brand new salesman, the first thing you need to do is go make a quick sale.
Anything, yeah.
Just even if it's a little one. You need the success, the confidence builder, the hope deferred makes the heart sick. Hopelessness makes the heart sick. The opposite of that is when desire comes, it is the tree of life. So when you get that hope, because you pay off that little one, you go, whoa, this is weird. I never paid off a debt before in my life. There's another one, knocked out another one. Look at that. And there's another one. I got another one. And you start getting more and more and more pumped because you're getting through it. And your likelihood, your probability of completion enters into it. And when you actually convert that to a math formula, the debt snowball is far superior because in the real world it's far superior. And so it shows up in the math.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the worst thing in the world is when you've been doing a workout plan that doesn't work and you stand on the scale and it never moves.
Oh, God.
It's like, I give up. Cut the tape. I'm done.
I'm done.
But if you see it, even just a couple of ounces,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, it's working. And you keep doing the plan and before you know it, you lost 5 pounds.
Well, yeah, and it's the back away from the donuts for me. I got to, no donuts, Dave. Son, it's a donut problem, son. Yeah, the guy in the mirror, right?
Every time.
It's so sad that most of our problems originate with the person in our mirror.
Yeah.
That's the bad news. The good news is most of your solutions originate with the person in the mirror, not someone in the White House.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Or if broccoli could just be round and donut flavored, that could also
Put a little hole in it.
a little hole in the middle. But it's still broccoli. That would,
It would have to
solve
be.
everything.
It'd have to be donut. Oh, this is just. These shouldn't even be in the same sentence, Jade.
I know.
This is the Ramsey Show. Your home is probably the biggest purchase you'll ever make. And with the real estate market like it is now, you'll need a mortgage company you can trust. That's Churchill Mortgage. You guys, buying a home is not a button push. It's a process. It takes building a relationship with an expert who will dig into the details and give you peace of mind without busting your budget. Churchill is one of the highest rated lenders in the country. And they're Ramsey trusted because they do what's right for you. Go to churchillmortgage.com to get started. Jade Warshaw, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, is my co-host today. Thank you for joining us, America. This is the Ramsey Show. The phone number is 888-825-5225. Eric's in Buffalo, New York. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Better than I deserve, Dave. Longtime listener, great fan of you and Jade. Got you on Spotify and Facebook and all that. Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you.
So I was in a train accident about a year and 3 months ago, got caught between a couple trains, and finally just settled that just a little over a couple weeks ago. After the lawyers took everything, ended with about like $275,000. And my birthday's coming up on 7/11, and just decided to pay off my house and my car, and that leaves me with just around $200,000. I tied 150 up in a CD at 4 1/4 because I really wasn't sure what to do, and I don't really know if I trust the market that much right now. So I have about 50,000 left over, and I'm just looking for like how to be a good steward of the rest. And then once like December 24th comes up and that CD's matured, what to put it in to gain the most potential on the money.
How are you? You okay?
Yeah, I am actually finished with all my medical, and I am back to almost everyday normal living, playing volleyball again.
Good.
And pickleball and all that. So, yeah, my left hip got fractured. I needed surgery, and, so I recovered from December 12th hip surgery.
Wow.
What is that, about a little more than 6 months now? But everything's great. Talked to a therapist for a good matter of about 9 months, and I feel like I'm back in some of the best shape of my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great. It's not every
Good
day
for
you
you.
hear somebody say, I got caught between a couple of trains. Like that's,
Yeah, usually
Yeah, it was-
people don't walk away from that, so
Yeah,
that's pretty cool,
wow.
man. That's neat.
Yeah, no, I'm truly blessed.
Okay, cool. Well, it sounds like you've done the stuff we would teach you to do with the money.
Mm-hmm.
You've been very careful, thoughtful. You've gotten yourself out of debt. You've got a plan. So what is it that you actually need us to answer? Because it sounds like you've done most of the stuff.
So I guess I just, I just threw it in a CD just because I'm not really sure what to do with it. I mean, and when I was in my 20s, I had a great paying job and went and, borrowed money to go on trips. I'm actually going to El Salvador tomorrow for like a birthday trip, because I was actually supposed to go to El Salvador right before my train accident, or right after my train accident. I called them on the hospital bed, and they allowed me to cancel the non-refundable ticket, and they refunded me.
Wow.
So it's kind of like full circle. I went on a missions trip a few years ago, and so I'm going to revisit some friends.
That's
great.
I
guess the whole point of the question is, where can I earn the most potential on my money?
Look,
if I don't really trust the stock market right now, it's at all-time highs. Obviously you're probably following that.
Well, listen, I think that if you don't know what to do with your money, and if you're unsure about how to invest it, sticking it in a high yield savings probably would have been my move. But I wouldn't want it to stay there. It's a lot of money, $150,000. I'd love if you would put in the time and kind of learn a little bit more about this with a SmartVestor Pro, and kind of get that confidence before you start investing it. Because I do think the best place for this money is invested. Let's say the $50,000 that you have set aside is your 3 to 6 months of expenses. And then once you learn and feel comfortable enough to invest this, you do that with the $150,000. That's what I would do. Now, what happens in the future? Do you start working again?
So I'm a self-employed. I just drive for Lyft because I don't see any value in going and finding a W-2 job that pays me $17, $19 an hour and then takes away taxes, where I make $25, $30 an hour driving Lyft, and then I just write off all my miles from my car.
But you still pay taxes.
And no, actually, Jade, I've driven rideshare for the past 7 years, and I've never paid a dime in taxes.
It means you're not making any money, then. All right,
because of all the write-offs, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, the write-offs aren't fake; they're real. Your car's going down in value more than you're making, so that's why you're not.
Right.
That's why you're not making the taxes. Anyway, so the investing question works like this: how old are you?
I'll be 35 on 7/11.
Okay, and have a great trip, by the way. Hope it works out great for you. You've been looking forward to it a long time. The way I look at investing is I've been doing this on the air now for over 30 years. And every single year for 30 years, people have told me that they're not going to buy a house because houses aren't going to keep going up in value. They're going to tank, and there's going to be a bubble. Every single year, people have told me they're not going to invest in mutual funds because look how high they are. They can't maintain that. And every year, both have gone up. Every decade, both have gone up. Every 5-year period, both house prices and the stock market has gone up. So I completely am 100% trusting that both of those are going to keep going up long term. Now, I don't know about tomorrow or this week or by November 3rd. I couldn't tell you anything about that. But over the next decade, I'm 63. I'm 100% sure I'm going to make money in the stock market going up by being in mutual funds, and I'm going to make money by owning real estate, and real estate goes up in the next decade. I'm 100% sure of that. And there's very few things I'm 100% sure of. But in the short, I have never seen a time in American history, modern American history, that you can look back that both of those things in a decade did not go up. Now, can you trust the stock market between now and Christmas? Oh, crap, no. I mean, there's crazy people running to be in the White House. I mean, come on.
Right.
But when you look at the graphs, I mean, you can go back and look at the graphs as far back as you want, and you're going to watch them go up.
Yeah. So, I'm with Jade. If I were in your shoes, I think, Eric, you need to learn some more about it because you're afraid of it, because you're watching the news, and that's where you're getting your information. Bad place to get information, by the way, and about reality. And so, if you want to learn about everything that's wrong with the world, you can find that out on Fox and CNN. They'll tell you. But if you want to actually learn what the market has done, you need to sit down with somebody and look at the actual numbers and say, all right, in 1982, here's what it was when I was 22. And I'm really glad I bought my first mutual fund in 1983. Whew. Can you imagine? Can you even imagine how sweet that little mutual fund is today? Oh, my goodness.
I know. I sit next to you, so.
It's a sweet baby. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. So you just, if you're thinking long term and you study the actual data, it'll help your fear dissipate. Because this is a case of not knowing, and the fear comes from not knowing. Some things, when you learn more about them, you should become more fearful.
That's right. Oh yeah, healthy fear.
And more careful and more wise in the handling of the thing, whatever it is, right? And so fear is a good thing in that sense, but fear that creates paralysis based on lack of knowledge is never a good thing. So learn, and the more you know, the less you're gonna want to do it, or the more you're gonna want to do it.
Yeah. Facts are your friends.
Exactly. It's Dr. John Deloney.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's right about that though. When
yes.
There's so many things I can think of, like the guy calling a little bit earlier about buying his first house. His wife's afraid.
Yeah.
Facts are your friends.
Yeah, it's usually a lack of clear knowledge on it. It's kind of a circulation of what you've heard people say, what you think might be going on, what happened to your friend a couple of years ago. It's like all those things kind of correlate together to inform your...
Yeah, and you know, we're at a disadvantage in our culture today because we have so much bad information at our fingertips and bad influences at our fingertips. It used to be the news media was actually, in the 60s or 70s, they were actually credible, and you could trust somewhat what they were saying, and you weren't bombarded every minute with this magic wand in your hand by negativity.
Yeah.
And so it was somebody that's 14 years old that lives in their mother's basement that has an opinion on TikTok. Oh my gosh. And they're called an influencer. God help us. This is The Ramsey Show. You've been gazelle intense, you've eaten more beans and rice than you knew existed, and now you're ready to make your biggest investment better. Blinds.com is a great way to dress up a room or your entire home. Whether you're comfortable with do-it-yourself projects or you don't even know what a Phillips head screwdriver is, well, trust Blinds.com to take care of you like Ramsey would. You can do the measuring and installation yourself, or you can let Blinds.com's professionals handle everything for you. Blinds.com offers a completely hassle-free experience. Count on them to deliver stylish window treatments from premium brands without the premium markup. You'll never have to deal with pushy salespeople in your home just to get a quote. But you can count on free shipping, free samples, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee so that you can rest easy. That's why we've recommended Blinds.com for over 10 years. Shop Blinds.com right now and get up to 50% off. That's Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply. Jade Warshaw, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host. Guys, we could use your help. A bunch of you have been helping us, and we appreciate it. How can you help us? Doesn't cost you a thing. All you need to do is click the subscribe button, the follow button, where you're listening or watching the show, whether it's YouTube or Spotify or Apple or whatever. Subscribe, follow, however that works in your format. Also, some of those formats have some of those platforms have a share button, sharing the show with friends. That's a big deal. Jade was just telling me about a movie at the break that I need to go see. See, that's how you tell people. She said, and I'm not going to tell you about the ending. So there we go. That means I gotta go see it to get
That's right.
There it is. Now the difference is your friends will tell you about the ending on this show, but spread the word. Tell people about this. Click a link and send a link around and tell them something fun and funny or something you learned that changed your way of looking at money. Whatever, however we can help you. That's what we want to do, and help us spread the word with that. And those 5-star reviews, they help us with the algorithm as well, folks. Thank you very much. And we know you're doing that because our numbers are way up. Thank you. Wow. Justin is in Omaha, Nebraska. Hi, Justin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
My wife and I have about $145,000 in student debt, and she kind of feels like it's her fault. So I'm trying to just help her. I guess not really cope, but just figure out how to help her better understand and how to attack it from there.
Well, was most of it hers when you got married?
All of it. So I was pretty.
Well, then it would be
lucky
her fault.
parents- Yeah, I was pretty lucky.
That would be
my
accurate,
parents
but
pretty
we don't
much-
have to be shamed about it or guilty about it. It's just like, apparently you thought she was worth it, so there we go.
Listen, when I got married, my husband had $200,000 of student loan debt, and it just kind of ballooned even more because of interest. So
was he worth it?
I hope, yeah, he was.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Oh boy,
Sam's definitely worth it.
He's
and
worth
more,
it.
Sam.
Yeah.
And more, Sam.
But I mean, the point of me saying that is that feeling is very real. Like it is. It feels like. It feels like a weight. It feels like the weight of the world is on you, and you feel bad about it. The best thing that you can do, and this is just from personal experience, the best thing that you can do is really lock arms with her, and never refer to it in her presence as her debt again. Our debt. It's ours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with
and
you.
I've been doing my best to not do that too.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, over time, that helps so much. And then, coming up with a plan to attack it. Is this the only debt, or do you guys have more?
We have about $25,000 on her car.
Okay.
Mine is paid for.
Okay. Did you guys just get married? Is this...
We've been married a little over 2 years. So we
What's
got
your
married while
household
she was in
income?
grad school. About $85,000 after tax.
What does she do?
She's a speech pathologist.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm in golf.
Okay. As in a professional golfer?
No, the other side. I'm a Class A PGA member, but I'm not a professional golfer. I just help other people get better at golf.
Oh, so you're an instructor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And what do you make?
I make about 42.
And she's only making 42 as a speech pathologist?
Yeah, so right after she got out of graduate school, it's a little lower, and then once she gets her C's, it goes up.
Oh, when will she pass that?
Next couple months here.
Okay, and what will her income go then?
She'll be at about 65 after that.
Still sounds low. Okay. I was actually thinking speech pathologists generally made six figures. But what do I know?
No, nope.
Maybe not. Maybe not in
but
Omaha.
I was going to say maybe not Nebraska.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all right. So, okay. So you guys are going to end up making a little over 100 at that point. You got 145 plus 25. The car's pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
The $25,000 car is bothersome in the equation. It's not the end of the world, but it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got an $800 car payment, right?
It's about $470.
Oh, okay. That's better than I thought. Okay, good. All right. Anyway, so yeah, you've got $160,000 to come up with making 100. And so if we do 50 a year, that's 3 years and some change. So we need to do 60 a year and be done in 3 years. And that's going to be beans and rice and beans, no vacations, no eating out. We're going to lean into this thing, and we are going to clean up our mess. And she is going to maximize her career that she paid a lot to be in. Because I'm still got my head sideways a little bit, got that German Shepherd look right now on what she's making. It just doesn't sound right. So I'm not an expert on speech pathology, but I've been doing this a long time, so I've interviewed a lot of people about what they make for what they do. And so anyway, I want you to work on that. I want her to squeeze every dollar out of this degree field that she paid a lot for to get a return on investment. And because she's got high income potential, and you got to do as much as you can do also to increase your income. And in your field, I suspect there's some side gigs, so to speak, that you could do that weren't with club members or whatever, where you're not in a conflict. And I'd be working every tournament, everything I could get my hands on to do that as well. So all of that to say, you guys maximize your incomes, And I'm with Jade. I think you just change your pronouns and just go, look, honey, we've got debt. If you want to talk about it like it's yours, it's fine. But I married you. It's now we. We're French. We. And this is what we do. And we are going to attack our debt. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, the Bible says. And so if you never again speak of it, except in terms of plural, our, we, that kind of pronoun versus yours, mine, if you never again speak it, then that says that your heart has shifted. And as long as your heart is there, then eventually she will acquiesce to that, because we are going to work on this together. We are going to knock this out. We are both going to sacrifice. We are going to clean this loan mess up so that we have a good future.
Yeah. Yeah, love is the only thing that really drives out that shame that she's going to feel, and that's the way you do it, is just by coming alongside her and it being a we. The good news is, with their situation, he said her income's going to go up $60,000.
No, $260.
Oh, $260.
From $40.
Oh.
Unless I misunderstood him.
Yeah, I may have misunderstood him, but either way,
I hope
that's
it goes
the
up
plan.
60. Goes from 40 to 100. That's going to be very helpful.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That makes more sense.
That makes a 2-year plan then instead of a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Either way, they're going and they're paying it off.
Yeah.
So.
Either way, we're going to lean into it. I mean, it took you guys longer than that, and
significantly longer.
You accepted each other and didn't shame each other in that process, and that's how you all did it.
Yeah, that's a big key. Now, I always say, like, I don't take much credit for that. I always say, I don't know if I was very wise or just like love is blind, but I just didn't see it any differently. It's both of ours.
Well, I mean, we did it in a little different setting, but I mean, it was our income.
Yes.
And I don't remember ever saying to Sharon, I brought this money home, I'll decide what I want to do. I don't think I've ever said that.
Dave, I think that's equally important. That. Yeah, equally important.
Yeah.
Our debt, our income.
Yeah. For 38 years, she's not had an income earned outside the home.
Well, yeah, because what spouse wants to feel like I'm getting to have some of your income?
Yeah.
That's a recipe for somebody. That's a recipe for disaster.
It's a power play, and it's relationally unhealthy, number one. And it becomes a manipulation and all that kind of stuff. Like, only when we have a big fight is when I yell at you and say, it's my money.
Yeah.
But other than that, I say, it's our money. And it's like, if you're going to play that, that's a power play. That's a manipulation play. And then that's when you find out what's in the heart. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when someone is saying something, you need to listen, because it's coming from inside of them.
Oh, yeah, because if
the words that people use do matter. And so I'm listening to that, I'm watching that, I'm thinking about that. So you're going to be on the other side of that, Justin, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Y'all are going to, the point is bust through it, and it doesn't matter. And over time, both of you will adopt the proper pronouns regarding your money.
That's right.
This is The Ramsey Show. Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's the Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. Jade Warshaw, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, is my co-host today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Maya is in Salt Lake City. Hi, Maya. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for all the work that you all do.
Thank you. How can we help?
I am calling because we have two debts left. We have our primary mortgage, and we have the mortgage on a rental property, and we're wondering which one we should pay off first.
Cool. How much are they?
The rental property has 130K balance, 3.785% interest. Our mortgage is 457 at 2.75% interest.
Household income's what?
530.
Whoa!
Come on now.
Rocking it, girl. Good for
a
you.
lot in the last 2-3 years.
I'm
My
happy
husband
for you. Way to
retired
go,
from the
successful
military.
people in Salt
Yes.
Lake. What do you do?
We're very grateful, very blessed. My husband works for Delta, and in the last year and a half, he switched over to the captain's seat. So we're very happy.
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
with the
That's
great
awesome.
group.
And he's gone a lot, too. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, good for you
does
guys. I'm so
travel, yeah.
proud for you. Okay, so the only trade-off in my mind is this, is I always do a risk analysis first, and the way I look at that is if everything went sideways, which you're a long way from everything going sideways, you're square in the middle of prosperity, right? But if everything went sideways and I was going to lose one of these, which one would I want to lose? Well, I'd want to lose the rental. So it's always the second to pay off, unless it has a super small mortgage and I could just knock it out real fast. Now, relative to your income, what would be your plan to have both of these paid off? How long will it take you? Making 500, you need 550, right?
Right. So we were figuring 3 years. For both.
Okay. So really it doesn't matter because in 3 years, both of them are gone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so if we said that, then really we're talking about of the 3 years, 2 years is your house, 1 year is the other, give or take. Not quite.
Yes, sir.
But more of it's the house. So, Well, the speed at which you're doing it kind of makes me on the bubble. I don't really care. So what would I do if I will?
I'll tell you how I'm thinking about it.
All right,
With
tell
your
me.
first risk assessment, the one that you'd want to lose, I'd want to know what the rental property is worth. What is it worth?
It's worth about 300.
300. Okay.
And your home is worth what?
790.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm
'Cause
paying off my house.
I'm paying off the house too, because if you had told me that the rental was worth plenty of what it would take to pay off the primary, I might say, oh, go ahead and pay it off. If you came, like you said, if you had a risk scenario and you came on hard times, you could always sell it and pay off the primary, but it wouldn't bring enough to do that.
Right.
So that's why I would go with Dave.
Yeah, and you're going to pay it off. And I'm thinking of the non-math benefits that end up being math benefits, like peace. Like when you pay off your home, you feel different than when you pay off your rental. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah, and
Like
so
when we paid off our cars, and you know that you can get to and from work and not have to wonder to get
it's
to and from dropping the kids off at school. It felt so good.
yeah, like the stupid thing doesn't start, at least it's mine. You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I also think there's something of it. I'm like, if anybody's living in the paid for house, it's me, not the renters.
Yeah, I like that too. There's that thing. Yeah, I mean, if you owed like 45 or 50, I just knock the rental out like it was a credit card debt or something and just knock it out quick. But it's kind of on the bubble because of the way the math works in your scenario. So, you know, I for the peace and the non-math benefits of being debt-free on your personal residence, I'll put it in line first. Keep in mind, we're only having a discussion here of 1 year.
Yeah.
That's the only difference is which one's paid by 1 year.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. If you put the rental in front, it delays that by 1 year. If you put the rental behind, it makes it sooner by only 1 year. So it's not it's not a 10-year issue, but with her math, that's what we're talking about. So it almost doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But just if I was going to get right down to it, I'm going to knock out the personal residence because I think so many good things happen that people don't even anticipate when they're debt-free on their house that I'm going to put them there as soon as I can.
100%. Hey, let me be a Pharisee real quick.
Okay.
So let's pretend that
and by the way, you
numbers-
folks notice interest rate did not matter in that discussion.
No, not at all.
Because,
not at all.
Yeah, over 3 years, it's irrelevant.
Let's pretend that the numbers worked out a little bit differently and we were vying for her to pay off the rental first. I know there's people who are listening going, well, Dave, she shouldn't have bought a rental anyway if she didn't pay for it in cash. Why would you tell her to pay off the rental first and not the primary?
I don't liquidate real estate unless it's causing a problem.
Yeah, for her, it's not.
I liquidate a car in a heartbeat, I'll sell your car on you in a moment.
Well, it's also depreciating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and cars are just land of stupid when it comes to money stuff.
Yeah.
But real estate, it's so cumbersome and expensive to liquidate, and it's time consuming and everything else. I got a house for sale right now. My personal residences are for sale, and it's a thing. You know, it's a thing. And so, real estate's if you call in and you're in trouble and you're in deep stuff up to your neck, I'm going to start selling off the kids, 3 of the dogs. Everything, but the house is the last thing I'm going to sell, unless you got a mortgage payment that's 50% of your take-home pay, and you've got to get out of it.
All right, I'm going to play another game.
Okay,
because I like this. All right,
the Pharisee, the devil's advocate, whatever game this is. Okay.
Because I get into other people's brain. Okay, now there's a guy listening. He's like, "Well, I make $500,000 a year. I already live in a house that's $457,000, but I'm looking at a piece of real estate that's $300,000. Why can't I go buy it?" Using because the number one goal in the whole discussion is to become debt-free and stay debt-free. Mm-hmm. It's not. Now, if she called me up and said, I've got 10 rentals. Sure.
I might be liquidating some of those.
That's right.
In order to get to debt-free faster. Mm-hmm. And pick which one. Okay, pick the one you don't like and dump it, right? That kind of stuff. And you've heard me do that if you listen to this show all the time. So, because the shortest distance between where you are now and wealth is not your income. It's the freedom of your income, not going to someone else in the form of debt payments. Mm-hmm. That is what builds wealth. For the first $1 to $10 million worth of net worth. That's what all of the data shows us. And so, freeing up your income, it becomes my number one goal here. Yeah. And not going into debt to buy real estate. Mm-hmm. That's not my number one goal. As a matter of fact, it's the antithesis of our number one goal. So, good question, though. Yeah. It's good clarification to bring it up. And, people bring up all kinds of things. Here's the point. 100% of the time, that's all the time, the borrower is slave to the lender. 100% of the time that you engage in debt, you are submitting yourself to some form of mathematical, relational, some kind of slavery. 100% of the time. And 100% of the time you call this show, we're going to tell you not to do it. This is the Ramsey Show. Hey guys, here's a quick math refresher. There are only 24 hours in a day. So you and your team need to streamline time-consuming tasks to focus on the activities that actually make money. Smart businesses are realizing that to reduce headaches as they scale, they need NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one platform. With NetSuite, you reduce IT costs because NetSuite is cloud-based. You cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you've got one source of truth. And you improve efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. So join the 37,000 plus companies, including Ramsey Solutions, that have done the math and are boosting their efficiency with NetSuite. And right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to drive the right behaviors for your business absolutely free at netsuite.com/Ramsey. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey to get your free KPI checklist. Jade Warshaw, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Thank you for joining us, America. Sam's in Birmingham. Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing good, Dave. How are y'all?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So I'm going into my third year of law school this next year, and I've financed law school through student loans, and now my grandmother, who has a lot of money in checking account, she is offered to pay my student loans through our loan servicer so that I can pay her back without interest. And so I'm just wondering if, because I've heard you kind of go against interfamily loans and saying that might rub the relationship, and I don't want to do that with my grandmother. So I was just wondering if I should tell her that that's a good thing to do, or if just taking a gift, maybe, less than the full amount of the loans. I just am wondering how to navigate that.
Yeah. Wow. So how wealthy is your grandmother?
She's very wealtty.
What's very wealthy? I don't know what that means. Is she worth $10 million or $1 million or $500,000? What's very wealthy?
I would say $2 to $3 million.
Okay. And how many grandkids does she have?
She, including my mom, she has 4.
Kids or grandkids?
Grandkids, I think maybe 5 or 6.
You don't know how many cousins you have?
Well, some of them aren't under my mom's dad, so I'm trying to think in my head.
But I'm asking your grandmother has $3 million that presumably will be left to her kids and grandkids, correct?
Yes, sir.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 1 sibling.
Okay. All right. And your mother has how many brothers and sisters or half brothers and sisters?
One just passed away, so she has 3.
Okay. All right. Because the reason I'm trying to do all this, I'm trying to add up. If your share of the inheritance is 140, we might ask her to just advance you your inheritance, but not loan it to you. Not loan it to you. Gift it to you. To only to put on the student loan. Okay. Or any share of your inheritance that she does want to advance to you as a gift. I would accept that gladly and put it on your student loans. Even if it was an obligation to put it on student loans, I still would accept that. Would I accept a loan to save the interest? 100% no. Never.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess, so in my head, my mom would be devised some money through the will, but
I don't know how the estate plan is working, and I guess that's something you need to find out. Is there any of this money, this $3 million, that's going to come your way when your grandmother passes? If the answer is 0, then obviously she cannot advance you against your inheritance because the answer is 0.
Yes, sir.
So if it's all coming to your mom and her brothers and sisters, and they're not leaving any to the grandkids directly, which is not that unusual, by the way, if then you don't have an inheritance out of this. And so, or if your mom wanted to agree to accept the amount that your grandmother gives you less as an advance on her inheritance, and it go through to you now. Mm-hmm. That's okay. If you guys, the 3 of you, want to talk that out, you and Granny and Mom, okay, I'm fine with that. If you don't want to talk about it, don't do it. But in no circumstances are we going to do a loan. If I'm you.
Who's having these conversations? Is it you and your grandmother talking directly, or is this that are you finding out about this by way of your mom or whoever? How's the conversation look?
So it started with a phone call with my grandmother and my mom on the line, and so I told my mother and grandmother that she probably needs to talk to her estate planning attorney, and my grandmother's kind of like, well, I can go down to the bank and get the money right now, and I'm like, well,
you can, but you also get screwed by gift tax. Your advice was correct.
Yeah, I wanted to see what the relationship was, because it does feel presumptuous in many ways to be like, hey, just give me my inheritance in advance. Like I could see that.
No, he didn't bring it up though.
Yeah, he didn't bring it up.
Yeah, I'd say, Granny, I'm not comfortable doing a loan. If you and Mom want to talk about a way that this is an advance on some of the estate plan, and either Mom's share or my share or however it works is reduced by the amount you want to give me to reduce the student loans, I can talk about that as a gift, and we'll put it on the student loans. But I don't want to be in debt to you, and I'll just work it out. But I thank you so much for the kind offer. I honor you. I appreciate that. I know you've got plenty of money. But the idea of me having to pay my grandmother payments makes me ill, and I would never want to do that because I love you too much. And that's how it sounds. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's where my head was at on it. So Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate it. And so family does this stuff. You know, Mom and Dad are going to loan the grown kids money to buy a better house so their grandkids have a better place to live.
Yeah.
But we'll do it at 4% interest because the going rate's 6%, and I can't make that down at the money market anyway. So you just pay me what I was going to make on the money market. I've heard that story like, I don't know.
Yeah.
A bazillion times. And sometimes it all works out, but usually at least one or two people in the equation. You know, here's what I discovered, okay? When we went broke, Sharon's dad, who is one of the nicest men, he may be a saint.
Yeah.
He's one of the nicest men I've ever met. And just a kind, good man. We went broke, and he loaned us some money to keep our house, to bring the house up current. So when we filed bankruptcy, we could keep the house. And I never thought anything about it because I'd borrowed it up to my eyeballs and just went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Hello. I mean, and that's where I came up with the saying, Thanksgiving dinner tastes different when you eat with your master.
Ooh, don't I know it?
Because here's the thing. It bothered him not at all. He never thought a thing about it. He's the nicest guy. Didn't bother him a bit. But he was the master. It bothered his daughter, my wife, not at all. Because as far as she was concerned, Daddy was helping, and that's what daddies do. Not a big deal. It about killed me.
You had sweaty armpits, yeah.
I had, that's how I lost my hair right there. I'm just saying. So,
I know
and
the feeling.
He never said an unkind or shaming thing to me once.
Yeah.
Never one time. And yet I carried all of this. It just ate at me, and in silence.
Yeah.
And it was after I paid it off, and years later when I'm learning this borrower slave to the lender thing, I'm learning this. I'm going, well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
I changed my relationship with my father-in-law, who I love dearly, to master. And even if your master, when you're a slave, is a kind master, you are still a slave.
Yeah, that's so true, Dave. We did the same thing with we were upside down on a Hummer, of all things.
Oh, God.
And we knew...
That's almost as bad as my Jaguar.
I know. It's bad.
My Jaguar was the one. Yeah, that's the same stuff.
But bad credit, couldn't get a loan for the difference. So our mother-in-law, who I would agree, one of the most generous people I know, lent us the money. And it just... I mean, I couldn't pay it off fast enough. Because it just... Yeah. So from their point of view, it's generosity and it's kindness. And they uphold all of that. But,
well, they never thought anything about it.
Yeah.
It didn't bother them a bit.
Yeah.
Listen, being the master is not hard. It's being a slave. It's hard.
No, that's right.
That's the easy position in the story. And so, it's a really good call, Zachary. Thank you. Or not Zachary, I'm sorry, Sam. That's a good question. And it's a valid question. Moms and dads do good things bad ways. Mm-hmm. Grandmothers do good things bad ways.
That's so true.
Because they're ignorant about it. They just don't know.
Just mean well.
Ignorance is not malice. It's just I don't know. Mm-hmm. This is the Ramsey Show.
Hey guys, it's Rachel Cruz here to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can make healthcare more affordable. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs, and it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, choose the healthcare provider you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And Step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members take care of your eligible medical bills. With no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. Find out more at chministries.org/budget.
Jade Warshaw, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Today's question comes from Erica in Kentucky.
Yeah, she says, my husband runs a landscaping company that's owned by his father. He's been told for years that he'll be taking over the business soon, and he does everything in the business except collect the checks and send the invoices. He has put in a ton of time and invested a lot of money into this business, but he makes the same hourly wage as the other employees on payroll. He's trying to be patient, but with the low pay and amount of work that he has put in, it doesn't add up for me, and personally, I think he's being used. His dad is now trying to talk him into buying equipment with debt to invest into the business he doesn't yet own. I'm stuck in the middle and seem to have no say because he trusts his family's promises. How can I best support my husband while also keeping things cordial in the family?
You can't. Okay, so in Genesis it says, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And that's where the old-time preacher would say, leave and cleave. You leave your father and mother and you cleave, an old English term that became part of the biblical lingo because of King James Version of the Bible. But you leave your parents and cling to your spouse. Your husband has not done that. You have a marriage problem.
I agree.
He's still married to his daddy.
100%. You know, whether they're intending to use him or not, it's not a fair situation. Just reading what you've wrote, there's nothing fair here. If he's doing a job and it's above and beyond what other workers are being paid for the job that they're doing, yeah, that's unfair. Now, there is something to be said for...
but we can't even have that discussion because he won't talk to her. He listens to daddy.
Yeah. But I mean, back when I used to work in the cruise business, they would say, you know, I signed my contract, you signed yours, which was basically a saying of, hey, don't complain to me now that this is not fair because you knew what you were getting into when you signed it. And so there's part of it, I'm like, the more that he continues to sign that contract, he's saying, yes, I agree with
the problem is not your father-in-law. The problem is your husband.
Yeah, because he's agreeing.
Yeah, he's going along with this and he's not listening to his wife. Okay. Now, if we stop there and say, okay, I'm going to quit doing that. I'm going to listen to my wife, and my wife says this is unfair. Now we can talk about, oh, is it unfair or not? Well, here's some good rules for family business, and I coach a lot of family businesses. Got a world-famous podcast called Entree Leadership, where I coach family businesses every single week, and you know, millions and tens of thousands of them are being coached by us right now by Ramsey. Okay, so we deal with them all the time. So here's the guidelines. Very simple. You do not invest money in a business you do not own. I don't care who owns it or what the promise was. Period. If I walked up off the street and said, "Hey, Mr. Employee, would you put money into my business?" Well, they'd have to be brain damaged to do that. The only time you'd be brain damaged enough to do that would be your own stupid family. So, no, we're not doing it with a stupid family either. No, number one. Number two, when you work in any business, you're only worth what the marketplace says that position is worth. You're not worth any more because you're the golden child, or any less because you're family. We get to work our family for free. That's why we had a lot of kids. No, that's not the plan. This is not what we're doing. And so Rachel Cruz, Ramsey personality, makes exactly the same percentage on royalties on books, exactly the same percentage on speaking gigs that Jade sitting beside me makes. Rachel Cruz makes the same as John Deloney. Now, they don't have the same income, but they have the same percentage of their deal. Now, one of them may sell more books or less books. One of them may have more speaking or whatever, right? But that's not the point. The point is they're on the same schedule, and she gets paid for that, not because she's my daughter. And she doesn't get paid less because she's my daughter either. And so that's a simple formula that you should go with. The third formula with family business is if you say you're going to turn over a business to a family member, you need to never say that unless you say when. Someday it'll all be yours. When you're 76 and I'm 104, right? What kind of crap is that? That vague stuff. Nobody knows what you're talking about. You got one. So when you say to a 30-year-old, someday it'll all be yours, he thinks next week. And you think a decade from now. Mm-hmm. So you need to say, not someday. You need to say, and so you need to work hard. Someday it'll all be yours. Oh, brother. How about I don't want to be in the landscaping business with you? There's a whole new idea, too. Mm-hmm. I'd rather start my own thing. I could make 3 times as much money as you're paying me. So there's all that can come up only after we can have some basic family business principles in place for operating a family business and treating each other with equity and with dignity and with high communication levels. And then you don't get to play the role of resentful wife either. You have to play the role of supportive wife then.
That's right.
If your husband wants to do this, he likes working with his dad, and he's being treated fairly, and I don't think you're saying you just don't like these people, but you're starting to not like them because they're standing between you and your husband, and that's a fair complaint right there.
Yeah. She said, I'm stuck in the middle.
How do you get stuck in the middle? You can't get stuck in the middle of one.
Thank you. I'm like, there's a party there that should not be there. Party of one.
Yeah. So I think you and your husband need to sit down and discuss who's in charge here of your life, you and him or his daddy. And then once we decide that, then we can have a discussion about who gets paid what and if we want to take this business over and under what circumstances. But this is where it is. And so, yeah, it's...
Those are tough conversations.
Yeah, it is.
Because when you're in it, like if it's your family, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. But then if you're the in-law, it's like you can't say, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things that as the in-law, it's like you can't say to your family in-law, right? Because it just creates...
She can't talk to them at all.
No, she can't.
She's not got any footing to do it at all. Plus, she's pissed off.
Yeah,
so it's not going to go well.
If you write a letter to a radio show, you pissed. All right.
Just put it in that bucket right there. Yeah. Yeah. I don't care how much language. I really like them you put in there. You wrote a letter to a podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's what. Yeah. You honey, you got a marriage problem, and you need to stop being angry with your father-in-law. He's not the problem. Your husband's the problem. The two of you being on the same page and him putting you and him as a family unit ahead of everything else starts the conversation. That's where it is. Leave and cleave. It's an interesting study. Look it up. The number of people who never leave their mother, never leave their father after they're married, and the damage that does to their marriage relationship it's everywhere.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's hard to do it when you live in their basement.
Oh gosh, you always take it to the next level.
Always go there too. Just helping you with this. Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, that's important.
Whew. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Jade, you know why we will always have a compelling and entertaining show? Because human beings are going to do stupid stuff.
100%.
And we human beings, when we do stupid stuff, me and you included, we're just downright entertaining.
Yeah, 100%. Every time.
This whole building wealth thing, the math is 6th grade. It's the stupid humans that mess it up. It doesn't require any thought. I mean, there's not that much to it. Live on less than you make. Well, we'd be out of business.
Well, and the funny thing is, it's the same stuff over and over, and we've all done it.
But it's relational.
Yeah.
It's, I was reading a thing the other day. It matters more, in terms of wealth building, it matters more who you marry than where you went to school.
All day. I believe that all day. So important.
And that case in point right there. This is the Ramsey Show. You know, it doesn't take a degree in statistics to realize that this one stinks. 93% of undergraduate private student loans are co-signed. So when you're delinquent and drowning in private student loan debt, mom or dad or Uncle Joe is stuck in that financial stress along with you. But there is a way out. Why Refi? Why Refi offers a custom refinancing option with a fixed rate loan based on your ability to pay. And the average interest rate Why Refi offers is 3.9%, which can significantly reduce your monthly payment and decrease your total cost. Why Refi refinances your defaulted private student loans that other places won't touch. And I trust them to help you get out of debt. So don't be another statistic in the student loan swamp. Contact Why Refi at 844-2-RAMSEY or go to whyrefi.com/Ramsey. That's 844-2-RAMSEY or the letter Y, then REFY.com/Ramsey. Thanks for joining us, America. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Jade Warshaw, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host. The best way to make the most of your money is by creating and sticking to a plan, to be intentional. A plan in the money world is called a budget. Just tell your money what to do instead of wondering where it went. Every dollar makes it simple to plan your spending. It is the world's best, most robust budgeting app. Tens of millions of people are using this. Keep pulse on your spending, make progress on your money goals, follow the baby steps, hit every milestone, get your questions answered, work the system. Every dollar of the budgeting app will help you do it. You can download it for free in the App Store or Google Play today. Jay is in Mobile, Alabama. Hi, Jay. How are you?
We're doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Sure. What's up?
I'm doing one of the least favorite things I ever do in life, which is shopping for a car. And my wife and I are on baby step 7, and we have about $15,000 saved so far for a car purchase. But I'm wondering what you recommend in terms of a price range for a car for someone in my situation, because I'm looking at these car prices, and unfortunately, I remember what cars cost pre-pandemic, and I got sticker shock here.
Yeah. What's your net worth?
$800,000.
And what's your household income?
$160,000.
Okay. And you're talking about paying what for a car?
The car we're looking at, it looks like the average cost is $25,000 to $30,000.
Okay. What is it?
It's that would be a 21 or 22 Chrysler Pacifica minivan with 40,000 miles or less.
Okay. All right. And you've got 15, but you don't have the rest of it?
Well, we think
or you just got to reallocate some of your investments to buy your wife a car.
Right. Yeah, we've got plenty. We could write a check. What we're probably going to do is leave that 15 there and take the next few months and save another 5 or 6.
So you're saving it. You're not reallocating.
Right. And we're going to sell my wife's car and get about 6 from that. So,
Okay.
we're creeping up to it, but I'm just,
I'd say do it.
I'm just uncomfortable turning loose of that much cash all at once.
You are a serious type.
Yeah.
I love you.
Well, I mean, the question I have to ask, well, what's the alternative? That would be my question for you. What's the alternative? You don't buy the $20,000-$25,000 car. What would be your alternative?
Well, I mean, if I'm going to buy a car, that's really the only car I'm going to buy because we want to keep it 10 years plus. We want to drive them as long as we can.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to buy anything a lot older than that. I don't want to buy anything with a lot more miles on that.
So then there's not an alternative. This is the car, or this is this is what you're willing to spend, $25,000.
And you realize you
really
have the money, right?
Yes.
All right. You're not a broke guy calling me up wanting to buy a $30,000 car.
No, not at all.
Do it. Pull the trigger.
Thank you for that perspective. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah, what happens is as our incomes increase and our net worths increase, sometimes our emotions don't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like Ramsey does about $300 million a year in revenue, and what we spend on coffee for our team, we got 1,100 people here, and the coffee's free for employees. So what we spend on coffee blows my freaking mind, okay? Because my mind emotionally still is back when the company was making $10 million, not $300 million.
Yeah.
You know, and we had 10 people or 20 people, not 1,100. And so I can intellectually look around and see it, and I know we're okay, but I look down and I go, you've got to be kidding me. Or what we spend on copier paper. You know, I mean, it's just like bizarre stuff at volume, you know? And my emotions have not kept up. And I have to stop as an act of my will and go, Dave, you're okay. You're okay, Dave. You're not going to die. Because I'm ready to kill something. I'm ready to go have some of that caffeine right now and just jack them up. But I mean, that's what you're dealing with, man. My point is, it's a normal human thing. Your brain is not functioning at an $800,000 net worth, $160,000 income when you're having this discussion about a car.
It's a true thing. Let me put it on a even smaller scale, because you've got this giant company. So, usually when we buy paper towels, we buy the big Costco thing. You have a big supply of them in the house. Well, we ran out of paper towels.
How is that possible if you buy that from Costco? You'd have enough for 10 years. How could you possibly run out?
I have kids. I have a dog. Dave, we ran out.
Okay.
I said to Sam, go out and get some paper towels. Well,
no.
Costco's far, so he just went to Publix. Do you know he came back with
that man
a single roll of every great value paper towels? And I said, what am I supposed to do with this? And he was like, and it was like, once I pointed it out, he realized, he was like, oh, like that was the broke Sam. Broke Sam went
and got one
roll of the cheapest paper towels. And I was like, that old man has got to get out of here, because I need you to go get me Brawny, get me a
Broke
big...
Sam, you're fired. We're sending you to Costco to get multi-rolls of the good stuff.
Yeah. That was the old way, that's what you do when you're broke. You go get a 4-pack of Angel Soft. You get the smallest.
That's good. Well, that's what I'm functioning. I'm functioning in broke Dave. Yeah. Broke Dave he didn't make, his income was not what our coffee budget is.
It's the old man. Yeah.
That's broke Dave.
Yeah.
So, Dave, you're okay. You're okay. You can afford the car. Buy the car, pay cash for it, enjoy it. Happy wife, happy life.
Ooh, yeah.
And the federal law. Wife gets the good car. That's federal law.
That's right.
Okay. Zachary's in Indianapolis. Hey, Zachary, what's up?
Dave, Jade, nice to talk to you guys. How are you?
Better than we deserve. How can we help?
So what I've got going on, this year I've paid just under $20,000 off in debt, including just credit cards, and I've already cut my truck my truck loan in half.
Good for you.
So I've got $14,000 left, and I basically stay with my girlfriend pretty much every night. I have an apartment. She has a house that will be paid off by the end of this year. We plan on moving in together next month when my lease is up, so I will be able to save basically half of my rent and all utilities that come with it. But she's a very big Dave Ramsey follower as well, and I guess our question is, would you support that? Because I know the whole don't play house if you're not married, but this is the one, and that is my goal.
Then marry her
next year.
Then marry her.
Yes, sir.
Before you move in. How old are you?
Okay. I'm 27.
Okay. Someday, you're going to have a daughter. How you want a guy to treat her. End of story. End of story. End of story. We're not blaming sex convenience on money saving. So if you want to get married, get married. If you don't, quit acting like it. You 100%. Asked me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that he said the way he set it up. I was like, Dave is about to come through like a freight train. But you showed restraint. Good job.
Well, I get it. I understand it, and I understand how your brain has worked your way through this. But all the data tells us that the highest quality marriage does not occur with people that first live together. All the data tells us your highest probability of marriage success. I've been married 43 years, and we hadn't killed each other yet, so we call that a success. That's in the success column. We're both alive, and and so if you want to check the box, all the data says that the best probability of getting there. Mm-hmm. And nobody talks about this.
That's that's data. What you're saying is
like the culture. It's like you're not allowed to say that. You're telling people well, you shouldn't ask if you don't want me to say it. So I'll just tell you, if you were dating one of my daughters or you were my son, I'd give you the exact same answer I just gave you, sir. I love you so much. I want good things for you. If you want to live with a young lady, marry her first. This is the Ramsey Show. Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's the Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. Jade Warshaw, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host. Thank you for joining us, America. We're so glad you're here. Open phones at 888-825-5225. April is with us in Detroit. Hi, April.
Hi, how are you?
Great. What's up?
I was calling to see if I should buy a new car. I have put about over $6,000 in the car over the less than 2 months, and I am a single parent, so I'm just like, I'm a little overwhelmed with the amount of money that I'm dumping into the car. And
$6,000 in 2 months? Did you rebuild it?
I had to put a new transmission in, and then this morning, my car wouldn't start, and the tow truck driver told me that I could possibly be looking at a new engine. They did, however, call me back and let me know that it would be a new starter, so I would be looking at another $600. So when I look at the value of my car, it is around $7,000, but I also have a daughter that is going into high school, and I just want to make sure that I have something that is good on the road, but at the same time, I'm not trying to go into more debt.
Mm-hmm.
You owe money on the $7,000 car?
Yes.
Oh, how much?
Not if I buy a new car.
No, honey, how much do you owe on the $7,000 car?
Oh, I owe $4,800.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any money laying around at all? Just, I'm trying to get a snapshot.
About $5,000 left.
Okay.
And all of this money is coming out of my savings that I put to the side to buy a house.
What do you have set aside? The $5,000 is all that's left, period?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm a bit just frustrated.
Yeah, I bet. Because how much did you start with?
I was right around 12,000.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What's your income?
I make around $65,000 a year.
Okay, good. For me, I'd want to start looking and seeing what's out there. You know, your car's worth $7,000. You owe $4,800 on it. If you sold it, what would you get?
$7,000.
Yeah, and I looked up the Kelly Blue Book. That it said at a great price I could get about $7,000.
Yeah, I would probably try to get out of it and put some more money with it and get into something else. But this time around, I would do a lot more research on getting the car. If I were in your shoes, I'd be asking around, does anybody have a car that they're selling? Is there anybody at my church who has a car and they were the only driver and I can get into it for super cheap? That's the type of research I'd want to do because if you're going to choose an older car with more miles, you do want to know what you're getting into.
Yeah,
flat out.
Here's what you're looking for, okay? You're looking for a car that no one thinks is impressive. All we're looking for is reliability, okay?
Okay.
You would trade, what kind of car have you got now?
A 2016 Ford Fusion.
Okay, all right. So we want to get a car that has a little bit of size to it, a little bit of substance to it, and the drivetrain and the engine have a little bit of oomph to them. They're not being strained every time you start the stupid thing. And these little baby cars, they're always in a strain. And so it's always a problem. And so you're looking for something like a used Camry, a used Accord, a used Taurus, something like that, in that family of mid-sized vehicles. You're looking for something that probably is going to have a name because it's ugly. Old Blue, Big Red, Bessie. Okay? But Bessie has very few miles, a horrible paint job, and the interior is not much. The radio might not work. Certainly doesn't have Apple Play. Okay? So Bessie is 100% of the time going to turn on when you turn the key and get you there, and 100% of the time is not going to get you a date.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
As long as I get to where I need to go.
That's what we're after. You get my point. I call them garage sale cars because sometimes you'll find a $5,000 car like that in the garage of a granny who's died and they're having an estate sale. And it's got dust half an inch thick on it, and it smells like Estee Lauder inside. Right? That's the kind of car you're looking for. That's the one I want right there. Because she has, it's faded, and so nobody knows how much love is left in this thing. But there's a lot of love left in it. That's the type of vehicle you're looking for. The second piece of advice I'll give you, do you have family in the area?
I do.
Okay. Are you in a good church?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Good.
Get a guy from one of those two pools, from church or family, that knows a little bit about vehicles to help you shop for two reasons. One is they'll give you information, but I think you're capable of doing it. Two is sometimes people that are selling cars are the most sexist human beings on the planet. And an ugly guy standing there who don't know nothing will get further than a brilliant woman standing there. And that's not right, but it is a fact. And so if you got your old Uncle Henry standing there and he's scratching his armpit and he just shakes his head, that sometimes will make you $1,000 on the dadgum negotiation. You follow me?
Yes.
And so, and it might be that Uncle Henry actually knows something about a car too. That'd be handy. And so you don't step off into it again. Then the last thing I'll give you is this. I got two more things. I can't stop because I think you're incredible. Okay. You've been fighting a battle all by yourself and been losing. And you just called us just to say, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. And I think you're stronger than you think you are. You're a warrior princess. Okay. So here's the deal. The next time you have a $7,000 car, never put $6,000 in it again. You cut bait sooner than that. Okay, we don't spend $6,000 on a $7,000 car. We sell it for salvage and take the $6,000 and buy a good car. Okay, you don't put more in a car than it's worth. And then the last thing in this series of instructions I'm giving you is, this too shall pass. You're still going to get a house. It's just going to be a little bit longer than you thought it was because of this stupid car. But you're still going to get there. You're still going to win. And 10 years from now, this will be a story you tell your kids about the time you went and bought old Bessie. And you're going to be okay. This is the Ramsey Show. Jade Warshaw, Ramsey personality, best-selling author, is my co-host. Speaking of best-selling authors, one of my good friends, Dr. Henry Cloud, dropped by. He is the author of the famous book Boundaries, among many others, and Integrity and Necessary Endings, and many others. And Henry and I, inside baseball, are good friends. We spend a lot of time together. Our wives do. And last winter, he sent me a manuscript, and I was sitting and reading it, and tears running down my face. And I went, Henry, this is a different Henry Cloud book. This is way different than anything you've done. The new book is out. It is officially a national bestseller. It came out a couple of weeks ago. Why I Believe. A psychologist's thoughts on suffering, miracles, science, and faith. This book is different for you, and it was real personal, real vulnerable for you, wasn't it?
It was very vulnerable. I never had done that before. You know, I write books on psychology and business, and sometimes how faith interacts with that. I never had written one on faith, and it's probably the easiest way to summarize it is in the preface. It starts with, I have a problem, and this book is my attempt to solve it. I love God. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's real. He's proven that to me for decades. That's not my problem. My problem is I love my friends, and many of them don't know him. Mm-hmm. And I struggle sometimes with how to talk to him. It's just a hard conversation with some people. And, you know, it's divisive for some people. They feel threatened. They feel uneasy. They feel like you're trying to convert them. And I had so many friends in business and other places that just never have gotten into that conversation. I said, dadgummit, that's not being a good friend either. I'm going to solve my problem. So all the things we never talked about.
Why I believe.
Why I believe. This is why I'm one of those weirdos.
Why you're one of those Christians.
Yeah.
One of us Christians. I like it. But the attack the way you go at it, the approach is almost like you're solving the objections. It's like, okay, you think this, but here's what I see. And then some people think this, and this is what I see. And you walk through several different chapters on that, and how suffering, miracles, science, and faith all can coexist.
Yeah, it started. I didn't know any other way to do it except tell my story, which came out of deep suffering. I mean, I was almost non-functional depressed way back when, and reached out to God one day, didn't know if he was really there or not, and he showed up. And, the book goes through the whole sad story, how he took me from hitting the pavement to being above the waterline, how he healed me. But then also a lot of miracles that I've seen along the way. And the why, I believe, started out with me realizing that he was real. But then when I became a Christian in a real way, all of a sudden I had all these intellectual quandaries, because everybody told me, science is disproving the Bible, it's a bunch of myths and all this. So I did a deep dive for a long time into those questions.
As an intellectual, you got a problem.
Yeah, you put your brain in a jar or something. And so the book kind of also goes through how those questions were resolved for me. And then it ends up with one area of science I actually know something about, and that's psychology. And I talk about how the science of psychology proved the Bible to me to be true.
Mm.
And a lot of people know you as one of America's great psychologists, and you've written and spoken all over the world on these subjects. But I don't think a lot of people know the story that you actually are a wounded healer, that you actually came out of. That the way you got into psychology was you discovered it on your own path to healing.
Right. One of my favorite verses says, "We comfort others with the comfort by which God has comforted us." It's sort of like your story. I mean, you didn't start off above the waterline in finance.
No, right? Bankrupt, yeah.
But coming through struggle, you learn things. And what I learned in that struggle was that there are real answers to healing. I mean, we can heal from this stuff. Major stuff, PTSD, depression, anxiety, all of that. But there are ways that has to happen, and God took me through those, and then I learned more about them, and slowly I just realized, gosh, that's something I wanted to give my life to, and that's how it happened.
Yeah. I'm a Christian person too. I'm a Christ follower. And I think the number one thing that people have a hard time reconciling is, if God is real, why is there so much suffering? Why would all these horrible things be happening? And so it sounds like you're talking about that very question.
I did get
inside
into that
of this
question pretty deeply. Yeah, because to me, that's the hardest one.
Absolutely.
It's and especially when people are in deep suffering, not only the big existential, meta-theological question of, if God's good and all-powerful, why all this stuff? But it's way more personal than that for people. It's like, why is my child suffering?
Yeah.
Why was I abused? Where was God then? Why doesn't he stop all this? And we know, and if you don't have to scratch the internet too deep to find out God still heals today, miraculous things. But then what about the people that aren't healed? Because they're in the pain. And that question, to me, that's the hardest one of all, and went pretty deeply into that one.
What about the scientific side of it? Because for a lot of folks, there's almost like that curse of knowledge. It's like, I know so much, and I rely so much on logic and these other sides of things that for a lot of people, it just doesn't feel, it just feels more like a fairy tale than like...
Well, it does feel like a fairy tale if we've been told fairy tales. And, if you talk to most people, well, I don't believe in faith, I believe in science. And you go very deeply into that, and if you know enough to ask the questions, a lot of people just repeat that line to you. But when I went deeply into it, the first thing that really dawned on me and clearly emerged was, this isn't an IQ question. It's not like dumb people believe in this and smart people don't. Mm-hmm. When I get into the science and the various fields which I talked about, astrophysics and cell biology and all of this deep, deep stuff, so many of the leading scientists themselves, the science led them to faith. I mean, you can start with complicated design, but what actually gets into it, when you begin to see, science can only look at what exists and examine what exists. Then you have to jump into faith, both on the atheistic side and the believing side. The atheists have to say, well, since there's no God, it must have just happened once. We must have gotten something from nothing. We must have gotten life from non-life. And that's an act of faith too. And so we're not really talking about science versus faith. We're talking about faith versus faith when you get past the science, because you got to interpret what is somehow. It takes a lot more faith for me and a lot of other people, especially really, really like Francis Collins, the guy that unmapped all the human genome and all of that. That's what brought him to faith. So it's not like idiots only believe. There's a lot of smart people that the science drove them to faith.
Sir Isaac Newton.
Yep. Yeah. Even Darwin, one of my favorite things I put in the book, Darwin himself said, "The human eye causes me to shudder." It takes a lot of faith to think a booger, a piece of goo, turned into that thing that does all that it does.
This human eye, yeah. That's evolution, the essence of it. The book is Why I Believe by Dr. Henry Cloud, New York Times bestselling author of Boundaries and many others many times over. He's been informing you about a lot of things in your life over the years, and now he's talking about why he believes. Why I Believe. Dr. Henry Cloud. Be sure and check it out, boys and girls. I read it in manuscript form. I've endorsed it. I'm probably on here. Yeah, there I am, right there on the back. Who knew? There it is. And that's what happens when you're friends. It's a good book. Worth the read. Good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see y'all. Thanks.
Dr. Henry Cloud. This is The Ramsey Show. You guys notice real estate out there is weird right now? It's weird. If you're going to buy a house in this current environment, and you should if you're ready, because they're not going anywhere but up, you need a really good real estate agent in your corner. If you're going to sell a house in this current environment, you need a really good real estate agent in your corner. And I'm not talking about your Uncle Henry who got his license 3 weeks ago and had never sold a house in his life, and he's going to sell your $300,000 house. That's dumb. Just tell Uncle Henry you love him, but no, thanks. Get somebody that's an actual pro that does 50, 100, 200 transactions a year and knows what the flip they're doing. That's who Ramsey Trusted Agents are. We don't have anybody in the Ramsey Trusted Real Estate Agent program that's not a high producer, high octane, high protein, get her done, proven track record. And by the way, they know the Ramsey stuff inside and out, and so they're not going to give you advice that's contrary to what you're hearing here on the air either. We call them ELPs, endorsed local providers. They live there in your neighborhood, but they're the best of the best in your area, and they have become Ramsey Trusted Agents. Be sure and check them out. If you want to find out who is Ramsey Trusted in your area, you can do that for free at RamseySolutions.com/agent. Then you talk to them and you interview them and see if you find the same thing that we found when we talked to them and we interviewed them and we coached them, because we do all of those things.
Yeah.
Marie is with us. Marie's in Philadelphia. Hi, Marie. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
So I'm currently living in hotels. I can't seem to find an apartment. I've been looking for a roommate. What should I do?
You can't seem to find an apartment. Why?
My credit score is abysmal.
Okay. Are you working?
Yes.
What do you make?
Full-time.
What do you make?
I take in $87,000 a year before taxes.
$87,000 a year.
Yeah.
Good for you. What do you do?
I'm an occupational therapist.
How'd you end up homeless?
Well, I moved from state to state for love and a relationship, and that did not work out. and my only real option at the time was to find a hotel for temporary housing, and I really didn't have anything saved up. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, do you have any money now?
No, because I'm basically spending $2,200 a month just to keep a roof over my head.
Yeah,
and
but you
have
make
a place-
$87,000.
Yeah.
You must have a lot of debt payments. Where else is your money going?
Yeah, so I have a car lease, and I have my student loan debt.
How much are the student loans? Tell me the amounts if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think they're probably at $275 right now in student loan debt.
$275,000?
Yes.
Okay. What else?
And then, car insurance, my phone, and food. That's really what I've got money for.
Tell me about the car lease.
It ends next month.
Okay, good.
And that's about $340 a month.
Okay.
I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to get a car by the time that's over.
So Dave asked you the question, and it was kind of a vague answer. I want to know financially what put you here, because you've got the $275 in student loans. How much is that for you per month with your income?
It's about $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Are you current?
No.
Have you been paying it?
No.
Are they federal?
Part of them are federal and part of them are private.
Okay.
Marie, I'm struggling, okay? You've not paid that. You paid a $300 payment. You make $87,000 and you paid a hotel bill. That's all you've done. Where is all your money going, kiddo?
It is going to eating out. I only have a microwave here, so I can't really cook traditional meals. So I'm eating out and just trying to survive with food and drink, and it goes my phone bill.
$84,000 is $7,000 a month. Minus taxes, you should be getting $5,000 a month coming home.
I take home $2,200 every 2 weeks because I put in about like $300 every paycheck into my 401k.
Well, I reckon you need to stop that. Okay, let's stop your 401k, and that gets you to $4,800 then take home pay, which is pretty close to what I'm talking about. And then you can start to even with eating out and even with a hotel bill, you can still stack some cash. So I'm going to, I can't tell what's going on in the numbers, but numbers generally talk to me because I've done this a long time. So I think what I'm hearing is a highly educated, very intelligent lady whose heart got broken. Oh, let me take that further. Got crushed. And you've been in a spiral emotionally since, and everything's out of control.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because the numbers aren't telling me anything else. Because you're too smart, you're too intellectually bright to have to be in this situation if you were functioning at a normal level. And right now you're functioning with a broken heart. And it's clouding everything. You're spending all of your calories and your emotional energy going over and over and over and over this, and feeling ashamed for having chased somebody that dumped you, and feeling bad that the guy wasn't worth your trouble, and all the different things, or whatever it is we do when we're in your situation, and normal humans do it. So you're not a bad person. You're not a weak person. You're just been stomped on, and you're hurting. And it causes your math to get screwed up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Because here's what I hear. You've got plenty of money to go rent an apartment. Lots of places will rent somebody with bad credit an apartment. You just put up a good deposit, and you get out of $2,200 a month, and you get straightened out. Where did you move from to move to Philadelphia?
I moved from Voorhees.
Where's that?
In New Jersey.
Okay. Okay, so just a few hours away. Do you have family back there?
My mom is further south in Jersey, down by the shore, and my dad is in South Carolina.
How's your relationship with either one of them?
Awful. Okay. We don't talk. We're not speaking.
Okay. All right. Here's what I want you to do. Jade and I are going to help you, all right? We've got Ramsey preferred coaches that we have trained to coach people on finances. Okay? I'm going to pay for you to have one for free as my gift.
Thank you.
Because you're hurting and you need somebody to put their arms around you, and we're the people that are going to do it, okay? And then I'm also going to have that person recommend to you to get plugged into a good local church. And between the coaching on pulling the money together to deal with an apartment and to deal with getting an inexpensive paid-for car with this lease running out, we're going to get you back to sustainability, okay? But you need some human beings in your life because you're wandering out there in the middle of a huge crowd called Philadelphia completely alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not going to lead you to where you want to go. You need community. You need human beings with their arms around you, helping you, loving you, and showing you the way, and even maybe helping you a little bit with the money stuff. But we're not going to give you money. We're just going to, you got plenty of money. Your money's just out of control because your heart's messed up. Okay?
Yeah.
So we'll walk with you, kiddo. And you need to get out of this hotel, and you need to get out of this lease, and you need to throw your shoulders back and get your dignity back because you're worth way more than you sound like you think you're worth. So you hold on, and we'll pick up. We're going to get you hooked up with one of our coaches, and they'll plug you into a good church. And between the two, we're going to get you in community and get yourself squared around. Hang on, kiddo. This is the Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day, Isaiah 58:11. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. That's for our last caller.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Elliott said, of the one thing I am perfectly sure, God's story never ends with ashes.
Ooh. You know what? Mini rant. Because that and the last caller and the caller before with the car that was breaking down, I think the number one factor that people sleep on is community. I think it's the number one thing when it comes to your life and your money, having a church family, a community around you. And here's the thing, I get it. Like, anybody listening, they're like, Jade, I don't follow Jesus. I'm not into that. I really don't care. Being in a place where people will love you and care for you, it is such an answer. That it's a place where you can go when you need somebody to look after the kids. It's a place where you can go if you need somebody to help you go down to the car dealership and buy the right car, or somebody who has a car that they're selling. It's some place where you can go where you're heartbroken and people will put their arms around you and pray with you. It's a place where you can go when the election is going crazy and you are fearful of the future. There's so many things that come up in normal everyday life that, I mean, we say it all the time. You don't want to go through life alone. And it is I'm telling you, it's the number one thing that will help you keep it together in life. That's it. That's all I have to say.
No,
community.
Psychologists say it regulates.
Yeah.
You regulate yourself off of others, and you only go crazy in your own head. You don't do that because, even if your family's nuts. I mean, in her case, she's estranged from her mother and father, both, and they're separated, obviously.
Yeah.
Divorced probably, or whatever. I don't know what her story was, but that's. I grew up on a street in suburban Nashville, and it was like something out of a book. Like we didn't knock on the neighbor's door; we just walked in.
Yeah.
All the kids played hide and seek outside until 10 o'clock at night. We jumped over plywood in the middle of the street on our bicycles. And yes, we had no helmets. It was a long time ago. I'm a dinosaur. And but I got to tell you, if a neighbor built a deck on the back of their house, all of the kids and the men from the neighborhood were up there swinging a hammer.
Yeah.
At 12 years old, I'm driving nails in the neighbor's deck. I can show you the nails I put in, like I knew what I was doing. But, that was what we were taught, that you're there for your neighbor. You're there for each other. You're in community. My grandmother died, I remember, and my parents jumped in the car and took off and dropped us on the front porch of one of the neighbors' houses.
Yeah.
And took off, to go 8 hours away, and so on. And so, that's the kind of, you've got to have, it's a support system. You're not sustainable as standalone.
Yeah.
And Dr. Deloney talks about this a lot, that we are the loneliest culture at this moment in time. And I don't know exactly if I don't know if we need to blame that on something or not. But if you were going to blame it on something, I think I'd blame it on the smartphone.
I 100% would blame it on that. And
the idea that people got confused at some point that Facebook friends are real friends.
Yeah.
They're not. They're not there at 2 o'clock in the morning to help you change a tire. I'm just telling you. You got to drop one kid off because you're going to have the other kid, and you're getting ready to have the second baby. No Facebook friend. That's it. No, they're not real. No. They're virtual, which means not real by definition. And so this idea that, and we've gotten disconnected. We don't need to go next door for a cup of sugar.
Yeah.
How old is that? Is that 1950s or 1970s? I don't know. But I was raised in the 60s and 70s as a kid. So we literally, not metaphorically, literally walked next door for a cup of sugar. Mama would say, go over to Irene's, and she'd call with a phone that was connected to the wall, and Irene would meet little skinhead Dave with his shaved head at the front door. No, I wasn't a skinhead. I had a skinned head.
I got you, Dave.
Just be clear for you idiots out there on the internet. But, you're right.
Yeah.
That's mad. That stuff, if you want to talk about privilege, regardless of race, that's a privilege.
It is. And you have to work quadruple as hard to create it. Because, like you said, that digitization that's taken place, you have to say to yourself, you know what, I'm making a batch of cookies. I'm going to make a second one and bring it to the neighbors too. Or I'm going to share this with them. You have to create these opportunities to share your life with people.
It's because it's weird now.
It's weird now. Yeah, that's right.
That's true.
But you can't do life alone. Man is not meant to be alone. And I hear that sometimes in these calls. I'm like, this person doesn't have anybody to reach out to. And, the moral of my story here was there's always some place you can get plugged in. And maybe it's not your neighbors, but there's always a good church community somewhere that you can get plugged into. But you got to get plugged in. So important.
Yeah. Well, I once met a jerk who went to church. Well, good. That's where he needed to be.
100%.
He needed to be in church. That's where jerks ought to be. It's their only shot at not being a jerk.
It's your only shot.
Zig Ziglar used to say, he says, I can't go to church. There's hypocrites there. Hey, wait a minute. I'm confused. Where did you want them to be?
Right.
Where'd you want those hypocrites to hang out? What's their only shot, man?
I know, right?
Oh, my gosh.
True.
So you're exactly right. There's a connectivity thing here, and the quality of your character is shifted.
Yeah.
Your fears are... It's weird that your fears in your own head can become this monstrous boogeyman.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually sit down with a friend or someone who cares, really cares, and you spit them out of your mouth, by the time they come out of your head and land on the table in front of you, they're little tiny little fears. They're kind of cute. But in your head, they were a big freaking deal.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what community does.
It does.
Sometimes this show does that. Sometimes we're your community.
Oh,
we're
100%.
We're okay with being part of it, but we're not real either, so we're virtual. Well, I mean, we're people on the other end of a podcast, for God's sakes. For God's sakes, we are YouTubers. That's the lowest, right there. That's the bottom of the barrel. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want YouTubers as your community. I'm just saying. So, and we're
Bottom of the
big time.
barrel.
We're big time YouTubers, man. I'm telling you. I mean, we're on TikTok. If that didn't ruin it, just tell them the truth. We're on TikTok. Oh
Yeah.
God, that right there ruins it.
I had a video that did 7.7 million on TikTok, and I didn't know how to feel about it. Like, is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Questionable. It's questionable.
It's questionable. But yeah, community.
Yeah,
real people.
real community. Real human beings physically in your presence that you sit down and they turn off the television, they lay the phone down face down.
Yeah.
With the buzzer off and the ringer turned.
Yeah.
And all this, and they just sit and they're humans and they're be with you.
Mm-hmm.
Deloney is spending a lot of time talking about this. As a matter of fact, it's one of the 6 things you do for building a non-anxious life.
Yes.
Is to build community. And you have to be intentional about it in a world that has forgotten how to do it.
100%. Got to work.
I'll go with your mini rant. It's not even a mini rant. It's a full segment rant.
It is.
We got there, yeah.
Don't sleep on
I like it. It's a good plan.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a pattern in some of the calls that we've taken throughout the show today, certainly in the last hour or so. And it does tie back to relationship issues. It ties back to community. It ties back to support systems and sustainability. Mm-hmm. And all of those things are tied into, left alone, we're just all weird.
We're all weird. That's so true. We're all weird. And like you said, you can go crazy in your own head.
Yeah. And then take up residence there rent free.
You get desperate, when you feel like you don't have anywhere to look. It's like, oh, these are my only choices. I'm like, no, you need somebody with some sense to tell you otherwise.
Well, because one of the things when you're in pain, you lose perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And you think that it's going to end in ashes. And what Elizabeth Elliot said, one thing I'm perfectly sure, God's story never ends in ashes. That puts this hour of the Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.